Trent's dead.
Very sorry, Gavin.
I love that cunt like a brother.
He was your brother.
We've recruited an interstate detective to lead the case.
Yes, sir.
Eddie Redcliffe is my name. The first 24 hours of an investigation are crucial.
He was discovered 27 hours ago, ma'am.
Ah, right. Hey, you fucked that up already, haven't you? What's this?
5 years ago, Deadloch's mare washed up dead on the same beach.
And according to this, his tongue was eaten by a seal. What?
Get your gun.
What? No.
Get your gun.
There was no evidence at the scene, no footprints, no DNA. This is bigger than one death. What's happened to them, James? This might be connected.
There is no connection.
If you have information about the murders, you can just write a note and put it in the anonymous tip-off koala.
I think they're watching me.
The killer has been living under my nose in Deadloch for 5 years. I probably know him.
I'd like to take a look in that sawmill, Phil.
Would you? You know what you need for that? A warrant.
Oh, my God!
There's somebody there!
My light is lighting.
The killer isn't just surviving in Deadloch, he's thriving.
There's something maybe you should see.
We are missing something. We need a new outlook.
We have had enough. It's a code black disaster.
Are the murders connected?
No comment!
So good to feel the heat from all sides. That way you get cooked alive faster.
All right, all you fucking mad cunts, welcome to Periodic Table. Fucking awesome!
Fucking sick! Yeah!
That's fucking great. How's it all fucking going?
Fuck.
I haven't heard all this since watching Chopper.
Oh, fuck up, mate. Come on.
Fuck up, cunt.
One who's
dear.
currently listening to the podcast with their children. Apologies, this is going to continue for an hour.
Right. Well, I mean,
yes.
there is a sick cunt warning on this podcast.
I do have to say, I'm very thankful for having my sinuses blocked now because it helps with the nasal swearing.
I do laugh.
Oh, look, you sound like a native Tasmanian. I'm very proud of you, and a little terrified and oddly turned on. Are you my sister?
It was jeez, that's a heavy joke straight
Well, we
away.
went there.
That is
I mean,
I'm
layers,
allowed
Quinny,
to.
layers.
yeah. Also, like, I mean, I have to admit, when it came to all this swearing, I was like, no, there's not that much swearing in it, and Peter might swear, and that's kind of funny, and then we just laid into it, just straight away. It's in.
Yeah.
It's a
And I haven't even sworn yet.
No, that's fucking ridiculous. Anyway.
I actually want to shout out to Elska Norga, who gave this the best, not even a synopsis, but the best description I could possibly imagine. And he put it on the Facebook, that something like this, a murder mystery, an Australian murder mystery like this, just has to be known as a yeah noir.
Yes. Yes, the good old yeah noir.
Well done. I do like that.
There'd be a bone of contention as to who did that, because there are two people in Sydney who had a fight on Twitter about who owned that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I won't go into who that was. I don't want to start that thing again. But yeah, all right.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, well, shit.
Yeah. That was a little while ago. Anyway.
Well, whoever it was, I don't give a shit. I think it's very fucking funny.
Yes, it's very funny. Attribution can be laid upon the feet of whoever wishes to do it or not. It doesn't really matter, because let's get into this very specific comedy.
It's so
That's right.
niche.
But again, I'm very happy that this isn't a remake of Packed to the Rafters by Amazon in Australia. I'm happy that it's an original piece of content. So, hell yeah, it's Deadloch. That's right, Deadloch, the TV series. No, the other TV series. No, the other series. Not the 2018 TV series, that was on the ABC. This one's Deadloch. Deadloch.
Deadloch.
From Amazon Prime.
Yes, not to be confused with Bay of Fires, which is on ABC, but looks almost exactly the same. Go figure.
With way less jokes, apparently. I haven't watched that.
Yeah, no,
What is it with
I have,
small-
and I found myself going,
What is it with small towns in Tasmania? They're all a little bit quirky. They're all a little bit funny. They might have something bad going on. Might not want to go and live there.
look, I think we've finally, the deep, dark secret of Tasmania has been revealed. It is a place of much death and a lot of murder and an awful lot more bogans.
It's the Midsummer Murders of Australia.
What was was it Maine? What place in Maine did Stephen King write about?
Derry.
Derry in Maine, wherever. That's it. It's Tasmania.
It's the Derry, Maine of Australia. I love it. Amazing.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's the Amazon Prime series, which is shot in and around Hobart and down to, through Cygnet, which anyone who knows that area will know the humor of that, because Cygnet was a fucking nothing town that nobody gave a shit about until about 10 years ago when the Cygnet Folk Festival started up. And suddenly this little town became on the map because a whole bunch of folk musicians from Sydney and everywhere just started turning up.
It wasn't a festival.
It's
festival?
But that's exactly what they're doing. They're like, hey,
Right.
festival, get it? Hey. And I love that. Anyway.
Look, there's going to be a lot of very niche, like specific jokes for Tasmanians.
Super Tasmanian
But also,
jokes.
I like that because it means that whoever's been writing on this, which we'll get to, has actually spent time in Tasmania, or at least hired a Tasmanian consultant to look over and be like, yeah, that's not how that's going to work. But fresh off the back of what was the other comedy series that's
the one with Luke, what's his name?
Yes. I wasn't talking about it. Sorry. Yes, I've derailed. Continue.
No. So I'm trying to remember that now. You've got me trying to remember the name of that other weird little Tasmanian comedy.
Yeah, with Celia
Greenhaven?
Something.
Rosehaven.
Rosehaven.
Thank you, Oscar Norga. Rosehaven.
Yes, we destroyed it.
Yes. Right. Okay. Should I do a synopsis? Is that where we're at?
What kind of music would you like? Something maybe from the show? Is there some sort of track which would connect us with the place upon which we...
live. Give us a bit of live.
Okay, you're going to get two synopsises. I'm going to do the original English, and then I'm going to translate into Bogan Gothic.
We are live. What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about. We're here right now. You're listening to it right now.
The beguiling, sleepy settlement of Deadloch on Tasmania's coastline is shaken when the body of a local man turns up dead. No. I'm not going to do the whole thing like that.
Wow.
Two female detectives, Dulcie and Eddie, reluctantly take charge of the investigation together, aided by overeager Constable Abby and the mostly dependable Sven. The death, coinciding with the town's annual winter festival, is a celebration of arts, local cuisine and culture, which forces Dulcie and Eddie to cope with each other's drastically opposing investigation styles and discover what secrets are being hidden in a place struggling to disguise the deep rifts that are slowly splitting it and the lives of its residents in two. This is the wank one.
No. We're getting into the chorus now. Wait. Everyone.
Crash. Dies. Okay, now for the Australian/Tasmanian Bogan translation.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this music going until we get to the point. Keep going.
I please do, but at the same time, I really want to get to the big build.
Tell us. No, keep going. Quickly,
I'm
bash it
listening
out.
for the music.
No, bash it out. Bash out the thing. Oh,
okay. I just want to get to the right part of the music.
Oh, don't worry, we'll wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
I'll let you know. Don't worry.
Thanks. Okay, please do. If I'd have planned this better, I would have been much more organized.
Wait, here we go.
Come on, Vanessa, speed it up.
Oh, now feel it.
So, some cunt dies. The coppers send some other cunt from Darwin to take over for the local fucker who they think can't hack it. There's some festival shit happening, but cunts keep turning up dead and shit. Turns out the town's full of lesbians, bogans, and murdering fuckwits, and the shit gets all fucked up even more. The end, cunt.
Very
There you go.
accurate synopsis.
I know, right?
I mean, we're not going to keep going with Lightning Crashes because, as everyone knows, this song goes for fucking ever. To get there, you're going to have 17 hours worth. And all
and it's somewhere in there, we've got to totally get DCMA'd.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to do the DCMA. But yeah, that's Deadloch.
It is Deadloch.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that we're talking about this because this one snuck up on me. And actually, Dion, you're the reason that I watched it.
Yeah, well, I apologise for that. I'm just trying not to make Tasmania too popular these days. If everyone finds out about it, they're all going to want to go and live there.
Are they though?
Are they though?
I don't think they are.
Why was it me that put this on your radar, or was it?
I tried to watch an episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I feel you there.
Yeah. And then I saw that you and Fel posted something about watching the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, if they're persevering with it, maybe I'll give it another go. Because I got to the end of the first episode and I was like, I don't think I can do that. I think I might kill Eddie.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, large, ungraceful blow-up swan in a too small a pool for a little while there. But it does find its feet, as it were.
It's like a bin chicken turning up at your picnic.
Yeah, a little bit.
But then, after a
You're
while...
like, no,
Yeah. But after a while, you start to kind of go, oh, well, we can have a bit of a laugh with the bin chicken.
Yeah.
I mean...
Then you're like, oh, it's actually kind of a beautiful bird, and I don't know why it gets such a bad rap.
Yeah.
He didn't ask to be put in this country.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of was supposed to be in this country, and then we took away all of its wetlands and built cities on them. And it didn't ask for that.
Just trying to make the best of a bad situation.
I think it's the best metaphor for that character I've ever seen. If you take something out of its natural habitat and put it somewhere where it absolutely doesn't belong, people will be angry with it for a while, but eventually they'll be like, oh, it's not so bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's not its fault that it's wrong and stupid.
Yeah, it's not its fault that it's down here. It's just trying to make its way.
It's not its fault that it took me 6 episodes to like it, but
yeah.
Oh, come on. I'd warmed up to Eddie after about 3 or 4 episodes where the creative swearing started to get me.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a strange one too, especially because it's kind of a significant departure from the previous comedy of the Cates, McLennan and McCartney. Who did we ever review the catering show, or was it just one of those zeitgeisty things that happened where you were all like, oh yeah, that was a thing, and then they had their sort of variety show, which at times was just
not as funny as the catering show.
No, but I mean, there was some genuine moments I remember in that show, which it just transcended what it was. It wasn't a comedy show. It was just like a highbrow kind of emotional drama. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And then now we've come to this, which is a combination between quirky Australian comedy and dead serious police procedural that goes together somewhat.
It's an uncomfortable marriage.
Sure. What would I call it? Maybe I think it's like one of those Mediterranean European beaches, which is just rocks. So it's beautiful. It looks great. The water is crystal clear, but you just still have to walk across a bunch of rocks to get there. So getting out of the water, you're like, oh, I feel so lovely and everything. Oh God, my feet! Ow! That's a good metaphor, isn't it?
I don't know. If you have a superpower, Dion, it is your ability to create metaphors that everybody else goes, huh. Because I suppose it's true. I've never really thought about it.
You're telling me I need to work on my semaphores.
They make roughly the same amount of sense, let's be honest.
Yeah, unless you've got the translation guide.
Exactly. It's just a guy going, I'm over here.
Fair cop.
Yeah, it is a very uncomfortable marriage. Like, we're very used to the Australian quirky comedy, like the Quacker, the quirky Australian comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels like it's starting off that way, but then kind of takes a pretty hard left turn into murder and nakedness and a lot of dick. And you're kind of like, Oh, okay, right, cool. And I never quite like for the first 2 episodes. I really didn't know where it was going. I didn't know what I was watching. And to be honest, I don't know that I ever did by the end.
No, it's a combination of flavors that you're not quite sure. It's pistachio ice cream. It's like, wait, on paper, that's no.
Here we go with
Let's
the
learn
fucking
something about
metaphors
Dion.
again. Jesus Christ.
Gonna start doing semaphore every time. I know what the new emoji
Yes,
is.
there's a new emoji. Just holding the flags up, going, oh, he's off again.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a struggle to get into, and I think that's a problem because there is absolutely no way I would have persisted with this if I hadn't committed to you guys that I was going to watch 8 hours of it.
Yeah, I was ready to nope the fuck out halfway through episode 1. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. And that's exactly the same for me. I got to the end of episode 1 and Eddie had come in and I'm like, fuck, this could be really terrible.
Having said that, it was independently recommended to me by multiple people, including my boomers, who loved it. Loved it.
Wow.
And I watched it. My mum watched it a second time with me over the weekend while I was, catching up so that we could talk about it. And the weird thing I discovered from, a parent who was quite strict with us about swearing when we were children, her favourite character is Eddie. Loves Eddie, and her favourite bits are when Eddie says "fuck up, cunt," and then my mum's over there going.
Eddie is...
So I don't think it's a problem. I don't think there's a barrier to entry for everyone, but there was a barrier to entry for me, and part of that barrier is that I don't like crime shows. Why? Why, guys? Why did I watch this?
The exact opposite barrier for me, Peter. I love crime shows, but the comedy threw me out. I was like, no, just be serious.
I like biting social commentary about sexual politics, but the crime and the comedy nearly threw me out.
And I was like, why isn't there more science fiction in this? I don't understand. Is it aliens? It better be aliens by the end.
Look, if you want that, you can go and watch the Kettering incident and be bored shitless.
I thought there'd be aliens and there wasn't. Could have been ghosts. How boring.
Yes.
Anyway, yes. So we've all had a very different experience here.
Yes.
I don't like crime shows. I've never liked crime shows.
God, I'm so sorry.
It would not be my pick of something, but I was interested in the comedy element. And some of it really hit for me. And some of it hit less. And I think for me, it's okay. Okay, Eddie, it took a good 4 episodes for me to be able to stand Eddie. And I think that's a deliberate storytelling, but also, you almost lost me as an audience member. Some of my favorite characters were the more peripheral characters, but also some of my least favorite performances were some of the other more peripheral characters. Nothing kind of threw me out of this more than a couple of the characters that just kind of felt overdone, over-egged on the nose comedically, and it just didn't match the rest of it. I feel like there was some Vanessa. I just feel like there were some tonal inconsistencies. Vanessa, the makeup artist, it didn't. They took it was too far out of the little genre Venn diagram that we're trying to sit in, and it really threw me. That was even more than not being able to stand Eddie for the first 4 episodes. Those were the moments that went, oh, this could actually be brilliant if not for these moments where you kind of like, oh no, now you're like just fully in the absurd comedy circle of the Venn diagram. Like you need to get into the
but how would you know that
pull back into the center?
How would you know that everyone's a bogan unless everyone is like explicitly a bogan, apart from the professionals and the the wankers and a lot of the lesbians because they're all the intellectuals.
I feel like that is kind of the style of the Kate's comedy, though, and it's very reminiscent of their previous work. And for me, I'm like, yeah, I get a bit of a laugh out of it, but I find the earnest play on the comedy kind of knocks me out of it a little bit because I prefer it played more for laughs and more for tongue in cheek and that kind of thing. So that was why I had such a hard time getting into the show, because it is such an earnest way to play comedy. I don't think I really laughed until episode 2 because it was being dumb and it was leaning into being dumb, and then that's when I enjoyed it. Like where these dude bros from the gym are at the funeral for their mate and they do a 20 push-up salute. I'm like, I fucking lost it. That kind of shit, the dumb shit, is funny, but then when you're trying to play other jokes, they just weren't really landing the whole time. For me, I think Tom Ballard's performance as Sven, like his brand of comedy, I really like. And so I loved his character, and I loved Abby's character because she wasn't being funny. She was just a funny person. And
I loved her relationship with her husband to be, or
her
fiance.
One of a fiance. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I know the whole point of this show is to make you hate the men, but by Christ, did I hate the men.
Some of the men were...
Not all men. Oh, hang on.
We're falling into that trap.
I mean, when the police chief says, I've got to get off the phone, we're getting on the bus to motor, I've got to catch the cloaca before it shuts off. I'm like...
That's the kind of stuff that I was
Some of
like...
the lines are very good.
So good.
Some of the
So
lines are
good.
very good.
and yeah, some of the characters you really lean into hating. Like, I can't remember that character.
James.
James, that's it, yeah.
The medical, what do you call it?
Examiner.
Examiner, thank you.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ME, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know,
what a
he...
prick.
And what the show also does very well is spreads around its red herrings. It does a very good job of making you think, oh, okay, well, maybe it's this person. Oh, actually, fuck, it could be that person.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I really enjoyed in the end, was that I didn't know where it was going. The comedy was happening enough that I was kind of, you know, after those first episode and a half, I was like, oh, Jesus, that's hard. But then I was getting enough laughs and I was just interested enough in the crime. And I was like, actually, this is walking a very tight balance of a show. Yeah. And I enjoyed that.
I do think it was very well written for what it was trying to achieve, which is, you know, a tricky tightrope walk. I thought it was really well written. I thought it looked good. It didn't, you know, fall into that kind of cheap look that sometimes Australian productions almost always have. You know, I thought it was, you know, for the most part, really well performed. My issue isn't that I thought anything was bad about it. It's that some of the creative decisions just didn't gel with my brain. But it also kind of feels like the things that didn't gel with you, Jill, were the opposite to the things that didn't gel with me.
We're both jarred, just in different ways.
But you both finished it, and you know,
kudos.
I mean, that's not exactly like you had to. It's a review.
Thank you for indulging Tasmanian-oriented television.
Yeah,
content.
I mean, for an 8-episode series and not actually fully getting invested until episode 6, I mean, that says a lot. It was a slog. It was hard work. And when Peter was messaging me on the weekend saying, I haven't started it yet and I've got to do the homework, and I'm like, girl, prepare yourself.
I was having a shit house week, and I knew that I needed to be watching it, but I just wanted to spend more time with my space family and Strange New Worlds. So I just kept watching that.
What
and
a
I was like,
juxtaposition.
oh no, it's 8 hours.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I thought it would be half hours. What have I done?
Yeah.
Admittedly,
And
I
I'm
was
cursing
shocked.
Quinny. I'm halfway through episode 1. I'm like, fuck you, Quinny. I don't want to do this show.
Yeah, see, like 8 hours. 8 hours
Oh,
was
dear.
a bit of a
But
stretch.
as
a
somebody that
lot.
does enjoy crime shows, I thought the full case was actually really well done. It was quite
Yeah.
interesting. It had me guessing the whole time, and I was like, "Oh, it's definitely this person." And then at the end, I'm like, "Oh fuck, no, never would have picked it."
Yeah.
I
But
gotta say-
honestly, like we were watching the trailer as the show was starting, I said it should have been the seal. It should have been the seal the whole time, and that would have been a funnier show.
Especially because they keep trying to kill the seal. But how did the
Yeah,
seal?
man.
How did the seal get all those bodies into that 4-wheel drive in the lake?
There's no DNA. There's no footprints left. There's no fingerprints. It was a fucking seal.
How did the seal
dear.
crucify the guy?
I do love that, like for a small town in remote Tasmania, it had a lot of funding for these festivals that it was putting on because there were so many different activities. And for anyone who's,
I wanted to go to
I
that
want to
festival.
go to that
Yeah, yeah.
festival. Yes.
Absolutely.
Don't know if I want to do a nose to tail feast, but I'll go for a bit of like endurance art.
Yeah.
I will
Actually,
give
the character that I struggled with almost as much as Eddie was
Kath.
yeah.
Fucking.
I liked it because she was just irrepressibly and unflappably positive. Almost
Yeah,
the
but she was
entire
not.
time.
She was a fucking
She was so fucking narcissistic.
yes.
See,
She was.
I had trouble buying that relationship
Mm.
because Dulcie just seemed so fucking unhappy.
Okay.
But also, I understood that part of the relationship because Dulcie is living in massive amounts of guilt because of something that happened. So
Yeah.
I kind of went, oh, okay, I kind of understand why that is, why the power dynamic is what it is.
Another reason why I found this difficult to watch was, you know that meme on Facebook where it says, I'm tagged in this and I don't like it? I related way too hard to Dulcie because she's just fucking trying to do her job and everyone around her is either an asshole or a dickhead. And it was so frustrating to watch. I'm like, just fucking do her job. She's trying to do her job, guys.
Yeah, I really like Kate Box's Dulcie in this because, and she played it perfectly for like. I feel like she actually had the measure of the show in whatever it was. It's like, no, you're playing it straight down the line. It is a police procedural, but the only place you get to like expand her comedy chops, because I've seen her in comedy before, which is great. But in this one, she has a impeccable slapstick. Because it's very subtle in all of this, but she's absolutely 100% got it. She pulls off the like just bump here and hurt yourself slightly, or just look confused, like, oh yeah, you've forgotten something, but you can't let that facade slip. And she played it very well. Like she knew, and everyone else is doing kind of comedy. They're out there doing the best comedy that they can do. But I did like the fact that you could have easily taken Dulcie out and put her in as a surprise guest in a police procedural. Like she could go to Law and Order SVU and just walk in
100%.
and do the
100%.
regular cop stuff.
She's
She would have felt
unflappable around so many insufferable people, and I really had to applaud her character.
She would have fit in so well in Blue Heelers. You know,
Yes.
like back in the day, Dulcie would
Yeah.
have been the Abby in Blue Heelers.
No, she's better than Abby. She
Oh,
would
she's
have been
better
the
in-
fucking constable, the no, what do you call it? Like the sergeant detective, whatever the fuck.
Oh, I'm talking if when Blue Heelers was on TV. So if like because she would have only been what 20 or something like that. I was going,
Whatever.
you know, anyway.
Whatever.
If only we had we
Yes.
had an anecdotal story about Blue Heelers that could tie this all together, Quinny.
Fuck
Who
you.
made a guest appearance on the Healers?
No, Quinny was.
I wish I had the little
Quinny
violin
did
to play.
an acting casting workshop with the casting agent of Blue Heelers.
Oh.
One weekend in Launceston, Tasmania, many years ago, and then at the pub afterwards, I was like, "Hey, that was a heap of fun," and they were like, "Are you interested in doing a role?" And I was like, "I didn't come here to talk about work, but fuck yes." And they were like, "Cool, well, we'll be in touch. You were really great. We really enjoyed your work. Next week, cancelled."
Ah! Oh, I thought you were going to say they gave John Wood the role and not you.
No, the very next fucking week, Blue Healers was announced to be cancelled.
Oh.
I'm just like,
oh dear.
Fuck.
Oh.
Thought I had that one. Nah.
Oh well. Should we?
Can I just say also? I know we've complained a lot about Eddie, but that is not because Eddie was badly performed.
No.
Madeline Sami did like an incredible job.
In fact, yeah, she was so well performed that like you absolutely loathe her character because of how good she is.
And not once did I hear
Nailed
her...
the fucking accent.
Yeah, like she's a Kiwi, and I never in a fucking million years would have picked it.
No.
And she does bring you around. She does bring you around. Like I said, Eddie was my mum's favorite character. It really touched her heart.
It's a special type of craft where you can just burst onto the screen and everyone goes, "Oh God," and then by the end you're like, "Oh wait, sympathetic."
Yeah,
I feel sorry for this person. They have trauma. They're still the same.
As I said, it was always the creative swearing and the use of the term a grief fuck or a gruck. Had me fucking like absolutely away with it. But then later on when she's like, "Oh, I could go a grank," and I just went, God, just fucking gone. Yes.
Away.
Right, should we rate this and then come back in? Because there is actually enough spoiler stuff that we could conceivably
the series. We don't want to go too far past like, what is actually like if you want to go and watch Deadloch, go out and watch Deadloch. But it is quite a good, as has been said, a good police procedural. There's a great whodunit story mystery. I don't want to ruin that. So if anyone wants to go and watch it, go see it maybe. But we've got to better the ratings first. Or should I go first? Because I'm talking.
Yes,
I'm talking
on,
now.
you want to.
Ah, great. Because of all those things like grucks and granks and look, I probably would have given it maybe a 75, but with the amount of absolute chef's kiss, specific Tasmanian references that sort of.
You're talking about the chicken feed, aren't you?
Yeah, fucking chicken feed. Like, come on. Which is only for people from Tasmania who would be like, "Oh my God." Point at it. I'm gonna.
What's his name? You're Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. It's me. No, but like, look, I'm gonna go up to 85, but because of the barrier, like the 15 comes up because there's such a barrier to it. Because it's trying to figure out where it is. But yeah, I agree with some of the chat that was earlier about it, which is I'm ready for season 2 now. At the start, like you would have given me halfway or even 3/4 of the way through the first season, I would have been like, well, this is fun. It's a one and done. But now I'm like, no, I can watch a season 2 now. Yeah.
I'm with you. Go on, Jill. Give us a number.
Oh man. Okay. So like the past half hour, us reminiscing about the show has made me feel better about it, even though I really, really hated watching it. I did initially only want to give it like a 55, but I think I'm gonna have to come up because I actually like 6 episodes is a huge barrier for me.
Big barrier.
But I would watch a second season only because I've done all the hard work and now a second season would probably like have a lot more payoff for me. So I'm maybe just going to bump it up 10 and give it a 65 because it was still so really fucking hard to watch and I hated the man. And I know that was the point, but it was so ham-fisted in the stupidity of the men and the reason why the political agenda in the show was so prevalent, but I felt it was too much and it was too hard. But to only enjoy 3 episodes, like 65.
Okay, that's fair. Pete, do you want to go or shall I?
You go. I'm still thinking.
Okay. I I think I enjoyed it the most out of everyone. But I found myself surprised constantly, and yeah, as I said, I started it and then I stopped. I watched the first episode and I was like, nah, fuck that. This feels like everything that's bad about Tasmanian TV and Australian comedies. Like, it felt like the worst of the quirky Australian comedy where they just could not get the fucking tone right. And then Eddie walked in, and I was like, oh, Jesus, fucking, no, wow. But then I persevered and found myself by the end of it, like, invested in the characters, enjoying the mystery, loving the actual visuals of it, and getting the style of humor. Like, I started to go, oh, okay, I get what this is now, and getting on board with it. So for me, it's an 85. Actually, no, fuck it, 88.
Wow.
I really enjoyed it, and yeah, got to the end of it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'd be ready for another season of it. The only problem I can see with that is I can't imagine a way that you can, because so much of it is the town,
Yeah.
like, and it's the mystery of the town and everything, and I'm not sure that you could just pin it on Dulcie and Eddie.
I reckon you could, because
Yeah.
the one thing, the central thing that makes any series like this work is taking those two very, very different characters and slamming them together. Like, that's the engine that kind of drives something like this. If you didn't have that and you just had the quirky characters, it would have been Kath and Kim crime. You could put those two characters in, any situation, any kind of, local Australian situation, and do the exact same thing that you've just done for a small Tasmanian town, and do it for, a small Northern Territorian town. So I actually do think a second season will work. I'm having a strug rating this one, because I was in a bad mood. I've had a bad week, and I don't like crime shit, so I'm trying to be rated objectively, because there are a lot of things that I do really appreciate. I think that the writing was really good. I appreciate, while it didn't necessarily gel for my brain, the idea that we can do something a little bit different with, Australian dramas, and not just make them dark and drab and fucking depressing, and that we're actually playing with genres. And because we're playing with genres, it hasn't all quite worked out, because we slammed a couple of genres together that don't really belong together. And I appreciate the kind of, risk taking and the creativity in that. So I'm not going to rate it as low as I felt watching the first 4 episodes. I think that I came on board before Jill came on board. But I didn't fully come on board, looking forward to watching it, just because the crime, it's not my thing, guys. It's just, it's just not. I'm gonna give it an 80. I'm gonna go high. I'm gonna give it an 80.
Ooh, wow.
There was stuff about it that did annoy me, but just because they're just trying to do something different, I'm going to overlook a lot of the things that gave me the irrits, about some of the comic performances, and some of the kind of really obvious, on the nose stuff, because I feel like that was necessary to achieve what they did end up achieving.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I feel like we've actually really kind of pulled it apart in lots of interesting ways, and I love the fact that everybody has taken something different out of it. Which
sounds like some weird corporate meeting. Okay, everyone's really pulled something different out of what we've done today.
I mean, Tari Elvin in the chat, it's interesting, feeling that the acting felt really forced, and that was one of the things that that did kind of bug me. But the reason I've kind of rated it highly despite that is because I think it was a really, really difficult job to have those comic characters sitting in that serious crime storyline, which made those kinds of things just kind of stick out. you know, stick out like a sore thumb where they wouldn't have if it was walking a straight genre line. But walking a straight genre line would have been less interesting. So.
Yeah, I think it would have been boring as batshit if they'd tried to do this. And I don't say this as a thing that I think everybody should do, but it's very, very interesting to watch even an episode of Bay of Fires and watch something that's doing so much the same thing, which is person from mainland goes to small Tasmanian town full of weird people, crimes happen, things are weird, and nobody quite knows what's going on, and seeing like how the same setup in so many ways can be done so completely differently.
Well, it just goes to show you that in the north of Tasmania, they're not as good as the south of Tasmania, where they make better quality television shows, just like the beer. The beer in Tasmania's south is way better than the beer in Tasmania's north.
Oh. Wow!
I'm never allowed back into Launceston.
No, you're really not. You're really not.
I've been ejected forcibly.
Yeah, well, you kind of ejected yourself anyway. Right, shall we go to a clip and do some ratings after that?
Ratings? No, we've done that.
Oh, fucking spoilers.
Talk about the spoilery things. All right.
Fuck off, cunt.
Not as much, not as much swearing in this clip, but just more of a bit of the comedy aspect when watching Kate Box, dance around this in her straight cop.
Abby, slow down. What's the detective done now?
What? You said this morning.
I said not this morning, Ted. Oh my, it is not even the right grave, Ted.
It's okay. I'll start again.
No, just wait till everyone's left.
You're responsible for this?
Phil, I assure you this was not intentional.
Maybe this is typical of the disrespect that us old sons and daughters of Deadloch have endured since you and your kind infested our town.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by my kind, Phil, but I can assure you that I take my duty to all Deadloch residents incredibly seriously.
Tell that to Mary Avery, whose coffin just got gored by a caterpillar, okay? You're a fucking disgrace. All right, move out, folks. Beers on tap at the club, shandies for the ladies. Greg, take Nessie.
Vanessa, I am so
you
sorry.
Keep away from us.
Absolutely, yeah, I will do that. Sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry for your loss, and what a wonderful turnout, huh? Steve. Detective, where are you going?
To the wake, to have a sandwich and a poke around.
No, absolutely not. I'm coming.
To do what? Sit Trent's corpse in your lap and sing Islands in the Stream? Stay here, clean up your mess.
Yes, there you go.
Shandies for the ladies.
Shandies for the ladies.
That fucking Phil McCracken or whatever his name was. What a mad drunk fucking cunt that guy was. Calling it the mayoress and the copettes, making very specific pronouncements of female versions of a job. I hated that guy.
You haven't
so
spent much time.
He was very Alan Jonesy.
Wasn't he?
You haven't spent much time in rural Tasmania, have you?
Look, I feel like
it's a very fine line.
I feel like all of the male characters were caricaturish. The one that just took it too far for me was the police commissioner, only because it's like, oh come on. I know the police force has massive problems with sexism, but come on.
Yeah. It did occasionally seem like he's being written deliberately way too difficult.
Way too difficult.
All of the men were written difficult, but wasn't that balanced by the fact that all the victims were men? No, it's not.
I mean, it was nice to watch a crime show without having to look at triggering
corpses?
image of a female corpse. Yeah,
absolutely. And to have a whole bunch of understanding as to why all those corpses there. We're in Spoiler Town. We're in.
I have put the logo up. The logo is on there. You may fire away. You may fire when ready.
And
Okay.
I really would recommend not, like, let's, if you're going to watch it, stop listening.
Yeah.
Because spoilers will, make it less fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just noticed that Casper has come in and is
Yes.
just is the fucking submachine gun that he always is.
Because he
coming in the
literally
break.
just logged into the chat and started subscribing.
Yeah.
He's just subbing.
Hi, Casper.
Fuck, we love you, buddy. Incredible as always. Yeah, because one of the points that I really want to talk about is such a massive spoiler. And it is the answer to who the killer is and everything.
Yes.
But the whole point of why they do it is such a fascinating thing to use as a motive. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a little bit
because
like...
the show is so obviously about gender politics, and its heart is so far into its sleeve in terms of men are dumb, men are assholes, women are empowered but also capable, and all these things. And it's its politics are writ fucking large all over it.
It's more like men are getting in the way of women being able to be successful. It's not. They're not saying men are dumb, because they are. We know that. It's very much, there's a lot of guys getting in the way of women being successful and undermining their success. That's what this show is saying.
Yeah. So
and it does it like this.
Exactly. Look at this man. He's an idiot. This one's an asshole.
Standing over there flogging the dead man to death.
And it's hardcore left-leaning politics are very, very obvious for everybody. It's like, okay, let's look at colonialism. Let's look at sex and gender politics in small towns. Let's look at all these things.
I'd say it doesn't.
By the way, that's one of the best acknowledgements of country I've ever heard.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like this is the thing. There's
funny.
A lot of very subtle jokes that go through it. Like, and when you're pushing through it, you think back and you're like, oh wow, there's some fucking bangers in there that they've done occasionally. And I also like that you're sort of sitting there going, oh, it's being very left. It's very left. It's like, I don't think there is a left and right argument, because as much as it has those things, it also skewers the fuck out of them. Like by putting up
I think
the ridiculous festivals and the stupid idea and the fact that everyone who moved to that town is one of those people, they're all just blow-ins from the mainland who've come over here, but they all just quietly sit there and like it because they're getting more money. Yes, I know. Sorry.
Yes. No. This is exactly what I was wanting to talk about. So years and years ago, when Dion was doing acting in a big film,
huge Tasmanian production.
Yes.
What was that? A French-Canadian co-production filmed in Tasmania.
So while Dion was that, I was the only fucking actor in Tasmania currently not working on that film, because I was working as a location manager for an ad, and that ad filmed in a small town in Tasmania called Oatlands. And I saw this happening in that little town. And the thing that was happening in that little town is a big, multi-million-dollar company was making an ad in a tiny town, and all of the gay couples who'd moved to small towns in Tasmania suddenly came out of the woodwork. And the gay couple who was running the cafe, and the other aging gay couple who were running the B&B. And suddenly all of this stuff just started coming out, and I'm watching this show just going, holy fuck, somebody really knows small town Tasmania, and understands that whole sea change, tree change kind of thing, and the lack of, or the real conflict that it causes in little towns, because you've got old school bigotry, like hardcore ingrained multi-generational poverty and bigotry coming up hard up against new ideas and stuff like that. And that's what I was like, fuck, this show is actually really kind of nails that. And I looked at it, and when we get to the end and the motive is performative allyship, I was like, huh.
Yes, but I did everything. Where's my metaphorical sex cookie? It's kind of, where we sit with it.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing. I mean, part of the thing that still frustrated me a lot about it is that a lot of the terrible men still didn't really get a comeuppance that changed their...
I mean, like, two of them that I didn't want to hear from anymore cannot be heard from anymore.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't really feel like the
There's some
town...
justice served there.
I don't feel like the town went through a lot of learning in all of this. I feel like it just got a lot less men in it.
Mouthy.
Yeah, the landed gentry colonizer certainly gets what's coming to them.
Yes. I enjoyed watching that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotta watch out for those. Was it the tiger snakes?
Yeah, terrible.
The only one who didn't get their comeuppance was the seal.
Kevin.
Kevin.
Fucked off, and you never saw the seal again. I was like, okay.
Chekhov's seal.
Should have just been a post-credit sequence of Kevin just wobbling up onto beaches and spitting out a whole bunch of tongues.
Jesus. Look.
Yeah. I think it had a lot of really interesting things to say in terms of all of that stuff, but it did it behind this very big facade of broad-ass comedy and crime drama-y stuff, which I think is really interesting that it was trying to say stuff in that way, but also I think some of it was so broad that people weren't going to go past it.
Yeah. Look, it shot beautifully. Got to show off a little bit of southern Tasmania.
Kingston Beach has never looked so good.
Looked and felt like a proper production in that kind of sense. Had a bit of the Amazon money behind it, and they really made it work better than I thought. And also, slightly gorier than I expected, which is great.
I mean, the crimey bits were quite crimey.
Yeah, this was it. Like, this is why it was so confusing.
Not a plus from me.
That's why I think it's hard and inaccessible at the start there for people, because you don't know what you're going for, and you're like, wait, is this a crime procedural? Is this not? It's a comedy. Is it lured me in? And then it's that character jar of Eddie coming in there, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. I thought I was watching a crime procedural with some jokes thrown in, but nope.
Yeah, I mean, the production's great. It does look like a cold, wet Tasmanian town in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
And all the set dressings and everything like that. There's a lot of attention to detail paid, and it feels very lived in and believable.
Yeah,
I'll give it that.
And the festival does look appropriately shit.
Hey, I thought all those
just a
things were
tad
good.
cheap.
I mean, it's just laughable in some areas in some of this festival stuff, because if anyone has thought that you could quite easily just host a floating cinema in any watercourse in Tasmania without
on a fucking
without
skanky pond in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but without everyone wearing a 7-inch wetsuit, even in high summer, there's no chance. People are going to freeze to death.
Yeah,
no one's going to want to lie around in that water.
No, sure as shit.
Oh, that looked like the most stagnant fucking pond they could have found.
But that's the point.
I just looked at it and went, oh, it's perfect. Yeah, 10 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah. Great sensibility.
And yes, shout out to spectacular usage of chicken feed iconography.
Yep.
Combining it with religious symbolism.
Yep.
Fucking amazing.
Kill before it's time.
Is this like
rise again
a
one
chicken
day.
shop chain? That's
I just
only
realized
available in Tasmania?
I just realized 50% of the people here have no fucking clue what we're talking about when we talk about chicken feed.
That's why it's a fun in joke, because two of us are just looking blankly at you like,
yeah. I thought we'd explained it to you before, but no, we haven't.
No.
Well, Quinny,
Dion, what is chicken feed?
No, you're the longest Tasmanian.
I'm the native.
Yes, you're the more native.
Okay, so chicken feed is was. Yeah, pour one out for chicken feed.
For Chicky. Not even sure if that's its
cheaper.
name.
I think it
Cheaper.
was called Cheaper. So Chicken Feed was the $2 shop basically of Tasmania.
Oh, I thought it was like a chicken and chips, like a barbecue chicken place or
No.
something.
No,
Why would you
no.
have
But it was
chicken?
quite literally where you did all your shopping if you couldn't afford Woolworths or Coles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of...
Oh, so it was like a no frills kind of supermarket?
No.
Not even like it had like the dried foods and occasionally canned foods, but most of it was just cheap shit.
You went
that,
you went there to look for like, plastic boxes with a lid on them or,
A dollar
toilet
store.
paper. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a dollar store. But then you just turn around the aisle and halfway down you would find cereal.
Yeah.
And then canned food. And you're like, this place has everything. It's kind of like you would just go
That
to
does
Chicken
sound
Feed for
very weird.
everything that you didn't feel like spending a lot of money on. And occasionally you walk past and go, that's a good price for 10 pounds of nutmeg.
Exactly. And
Okay.
yeah, it's the reject shop. It's
Reject shop.
all that kind of
But
stuff.
it was specifically
and I can't
Tasmania.
even remember how many years ago it actually shut down, but it was like a fucking stake through the heart of broken Tasmania. Like people all around the state recognized the music, they recognized the character of Cheaper, the chicken. And I kind of wish I'd now said to you, Dion, to get the actual trailer or an ad for Chicken Feed just for the music.
It's on my ringtone.
I'll make sure to put it in the post when it goes up on the website so that you can look at the Chicken Feed song, because every fucking Tasmanian knows the song, and to see the red T-shirt with the chicken wrapped around the waist of the guy who was crucified.
Yeah,
it's just fucking
Okay.
Like there's a
Their localization was on point.
Oh, their localization was amazing.
I think I remember seeing, wasn't there like a series of ads where they would just flash up the store of the local town and the staff would be forced to stand at the front and wave while staring blankly into the camera? Like, I don't want to do this, but like it's minimum wage and I have no choice. Just that
There
kind
we
of
go.
vibe.
All Chicken Feed stores closed on the 20th of May 2013.
Oh,
wow.
And 90% of them then turned into a shiploads about 3 weeks later.
I'm guessing this is just another brand of discount store.
Exactly.
Pour one
But you
out
can
for
get
something.
shiploads of stuff there.
But something.
Terrible names.
But something that is still around 10 years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, localization on point, Tasmanian comedy on point, and I heartily recommend if you are a Tasmanian and you enjoy a bit of like internalized sort of self-loathing, but at the same time self-pride. That's where this shows that.
And like, I also really enjoyed that it kept its like all of this show was set around that one tiny small town. They didn't feel the need to explore out into other areas. Apart from all of the scenes about the commissioner were just set around or near the ferry to Mona.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you ever go down there to Hobart and look at that area, that's kind of all you could do, really. You just hang out in that area. It's probably the nicest area to hang out in.
I also really enjoyed that all of the locations near the end where they're in the national park, and every single location is like, Dead Cunts Creek or something like this. And you just, and I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of really weird and uncomfortable place names in Tasmania that, yeah.
And give us a quick comparison, I think, before we wrap up, Q. You have watched also Bay of Fires, which I have not watched.
So Bay of Fires takes itself a lot more seriously. It's Marta Dusseldorp, who has been in a bunch of Australian very heavy dramas, and seemingly here is trying to do comedy, but it's not like it's like they've gone, we wanted all of the things that make Deadloch work, but then we're going to get the mix wrong. So she's somebody who has come from Sydney or whatever on the run from a bunch of criminals and now is in a small quirky Tasmanian town and is trying to survive. Meanwhile, there's a weed plantation in the basement of her house and stuff like that. It's fascinating watching something that feels like two sides of the same coin, but things that just don't work in the same way. It's bizarre.
Okay.
It's on ABC now. But yeah, I say go with Deadloch.
Right. You would, because you're from Tasmania.
Well, technically, I think Bay of Fires has probably got more Tasmanian performers and actors and production crew, but
That's because it's made by that communist propaganda machine, the ABC. They've got quotas and stuff. Oh dear.
Now, before we head off, we've got a little bit of a thing from the Sydney Science Fiction Film Festival. So if you're anywhere near Sydney, if you're listening to this podcast anytime before this weekend, we're giving away some seats to the closing night of the Science Fiction Film Festival. We've got 5 lucky winners in Sydney and Melbourne. So sorry if you're in Melbourne as well. You can be among the first in the world to see Exit Pangea, which is the new science fiction thriller from director Tibor Baumann. It's a German sci-fi thriller. It's got elements of AI, tech, Cronenberg body horror, and a new social order. So to win, you simply email the Sydney Sci-Fi Film Festival with Exit Pangea in the subject line. And make sure that you say that you're from TPTOA or periodic
We
table.
sent you along. That'll be fun. Anything else happening this weekend that people might want to know about?
What are you doing, Jill?
Going to Rockhampton.
Why?
Everybody is in mid of Queensland.
Yes.
It's generally just mid, right?
I
Like it's in the
never been there.
middle?
No. It's just Brisbane and the Gold Coast.
No. But if anybody is in or around Queensland and can make it out to Rockhampton, come along to Capricorn on Saturday. It's going to be amazing. I'm chatting with Neil Fanning, who's the voice of Scooby-Doo and actually worked at Warner Brothers Movie World for, like 15 years or something, doing stunts with the Police Academy show.
Oh, wow.
As well as being the voice of Scooby-Doo in the beautiful Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar movies.
Isn't that the James Gunn one?
Yeah.
What?
James Gunn directed the sequel.
Oh, fuck, did he?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was in that one.
Yeah.
I'll ask him how James was. I'm also chatting with Queensland cosplayer Artemis, who is just back from WCS. We're going to talk about WCS stuff. I'm talking with Sky from Sky High Creations, the Sky High fursuits. I'm going to learn about fursuits and how to make those. And
you're going to develop your fursona, Jill?
No, hosting the cosplay competition, and there's going to be heaps of shit out there. There's a fucking superhero petting zoo.
What?
Yes. The animals are superheroes. and you
Okay,
can
right.
have-
That's much better than where my mind went.
I was like,
oh, yes. No,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
animals.
Like we put a lot of signs up about, cosplay is not consent, and I feel like that's...
yeah.
There's rides, there's show bags, there's food trucks, there's a
Fair
traders hall, there's all sorts of stuff happening.
It's at Capricorn, though, right? Yes.
Capricorn
In
in
Rockhampton,
Rocky.
just below Scissorhampton and just above Paperhampton.
Fucking hell. We need to get a quota that just sits in the corner of this show. And every time Dion says a bad metaphor,
Ding, ding, another counter that goes up there.
I mean, like the gonk doesn't really kind of cut it. I feel like
No.
you need an all new emote.
yeah.
Sure, that was so 2022.
Yeah.
We need a new emote.
Look, I'm pretty sure it's going to be semaphore, but we'll see how
Yeah, I
we
have to come up with some kind of weird semaphore.
Yes, what's a semaphore?
Well, it's a bit like.
Wait, it's supposed to do this.
And Pete, have you got any things that you want to promote while we're
I mean, not right now. I'll let you know.
Great.
What about mental health breaks on weekends?
Yes.
Yes, I would love to promote mental health breaks on weekends. I'd love to
Wholeheartedly.
promote just, resting is okay. You don't have to feel guilty.
You
for
do not
giving
need
yourself a
an
few hours of time
excuse
out.
to have a rest.
Absolutely. And thank you to the people who checked in to see how I was doing. The last month of my life has been very difficult. But now things are on the up and up. So thanks.
Quinny got a laser installed and now everything's great.
Yep. Didn't even end up installing the laser. But anyway, I was so disappointed. So disappointed.
So are we.
All I want is some frickin' sharks with frickin' laser cannons on their heads.
All we wanted was a Quinny with a laser beam attached to it.
I was wondering where the end of that sentence was going.
Yes. Yes. Next month.
Dion, do you have anything you need to promote? Go on.
Yeah, I'm going to promote next month. You should come back next month in the happy month of September. Yeah, September, for more podcasting and show goodness. And tell us what you would like us to see. There's a whole bunch of things coming out soon.
Yes, we're all going to go see Blue Beetle.
Yes.
We'll be talking about that.
That's a lock it in, Larry.
I think, Quinny, are you off to see the Equalizer or the Equinizer?
Oh, that's on Thursday, isn't it?
Wednesday.
What?
I think it's Wednesday.
I'll get back to you on that one, Barry.
You're supposed to be. Anyway, plus there's Ahsoka coming out, some more Ahsoka things. So tell us the bits you would like to do. We don't have any homework. And the TMET movie. Yes, I know.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have the homework yet because I should really do that. We should come out with that. But suggestions welcome.
Yeah.
Let us know. Send us a message. We'll put a poll up or something.
Do it on the Facebook.
Yeah, we should put a poll up.
We should.
We should do those things that we were going to do. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay.
Stay tuned for the homework.
Yeah. You know what? What do you feel like? Do we feel like rating Barjo or Steph? Barjo is playing Baldur's Gate 3, so he's playing D&D, and Steph is playing Final Fantasy 14.
Final Fatty
Liposuction
Wars.
I had to try and work out what XIV was, and I'm like, 14?
Boulders.
Oh, Casper wants to see Baldur's Gay.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay, then we will go and find out about Baldur's 3 Gay.
Thanks, everyone. You've been wonderful. Get out and see Deadloch.
Yes.
Or don't.
Wow. Harsh.
No,
but
do it.
Funny.
Thanks everyone in the chat. We'll see you next week.
Back in later, cans. Bye.
I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not sit here counting zeros in a cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. Deep-powered girl keeps staring at her face, and call Colossus and have 'em teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys. Martial arts from iron fists and walls. I'll dance her up and teach her all my songs. Oh, I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not cooking up these heroes at my parents' restaurant now. I wanna yell out Avengers assemble, not order up for Ethel. Yeah, we're right up cheeky now. Date Emma Frost and have her read my mind. Or Magdalena, her artifacts I find, and then we catch a symphony. It'll just be her and me. Call Bucky Barnes and arm wrestle for hours. Visit MMA and bring her lots of flowers.